Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of From the Cinema. I'm your host, Josh Rudolph, and today I have some special guests to talk about the new movie, Joker. To my right is Taj Kai, best friend and roommate. Tell us about yourself for a sec.
I'm Taj, and I'm a film major at George Mason, and I like movies, yeah.
Cool. And to my left is my other roommate and other friend, Sean. Tell us about yourself.
Similar to Taj, I'm also a film major, and I also like movies at George Mason. And I like this character an awful lot.
Cool. And as I said before, we are reviewing the new Joker movie, which is the new origin, brand new original origin of Joker and all his craziness and other things that happened in it. And it is a crazy film. So, brief thoughts about the movie as a whole.
It is beautiful. I'll have to see it again, but I think it's very good.
It's amazing, and it gets the character right.
I thought that the film was way better than I thought it was ever going to be. It blew my expectations out of the wire, especially from the creative team behind the Hangover movies, which this film was a complete surprise on all fronts. And let's get into the first major thing about the film that everyone is obviously going to be talking about, Joaquin Phoenix's performance of the film. As a whole, incredible.
Mm-hmm. Phenomenal.
Oscar-worthy.
Without a doubt.
That's Oscar-worthy.
Without a doubt. Now, if you could place it between any of the live-action versions of Joker, where does this go in terms of like best to top?
The Joker's my favorite character of all time in comic book history. Like I read a lot of comic books. And he's up there, either number one or number two. I don't know who the number two would be fully. It probably Nicholson or Cameron Monaghan is up there too, but he might be number one. I think he's the first person ever to get the character 100% right in the mindset of both a symbol and a human, and he's the best.
Interesting you bring up the human aspects of it, because I remember when the film was announced as an origin story for him, I thought that it was very weird because Joker is a character that so ambiguous that you never know who he is, and yet you know exactly who he is through and through as to what he is as a person before and when he becomes Joker. And going into his actual psyche and his mental illness, I thought was one of the most interesting aspects of the film and really exploring that. Also, his laugh being an actual condition, that was even more terrifying.
It's very sickly and unsettling. Like it makes you uncomfortable to see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good word for it. The entire film, I was very uncomfortable.
Yes.
I was literally squirming my seat most of this movie. Everything that Arthur Fleck, the Joker, did was uncomfortable. Everything that happened to him in his life was uncomfortable. And definitely, I think, him to dive into his mental psyche was very, I don't want to say well done, because they don't depict mental illness in the best way, but it's a very good look into how this person actually is. And they made a good job making him not actually relatable. It's a good thing. But wow, he's a little messed up. And I think they did a very good job of diving into that and showing how to make someone have that one bad day kind of idea, like from the comic books, especially like the Killing Joke. They did a good job of that.
Phillips masterfully directed this film on pretty much every single level that he possibly could have. And that leads me to the other thing, the cinematography and production design of this movie. So
gorgeous to look at throughout the entire film. Like color, lighting, the shots, everything.
Even the unsettling shots were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
The best way possible. The entire time I looked over there and I'm like, how is it looking this good?
Yeah.
It was incredible to watch. Not only from a story standpoint and character standpoint, but it's also just technically, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Yeah, the cinematography was some of the best I have seen all year long. Just from the trailers before seeing the movie, I'm like, they meticulously thought out every single shot of this film. You can already tell. And then watching the film, it's even better and even more beautiful and more disturbing at the exact same time.
It's so well framed, and it uses camera movement in a very unique way that it helps advance the story a lot.
Story overall, without getting into any spoilers, what were your thoughts on what the film did and what it didn't do?
It was interesting to see the Joker as the protagonist in the story, and see him as the more or less hero of Gotham.
They definitely took a lot of influence from the first half of the Killing Joke comic book, like the villain comedian kind of stuff, and then the tragedies that happen with that. It's very. Todd Phillips originally said he's not going off of many comic books, and that's true, but he definitely took inspiration from many. There's a comic book without spoiling anything at all. There's a comic book of him from childhood where his mother, scrubs him down and stuff like that, and that's really messed up. And there's a lot of things like that hint towards a weird past, even his entire life. And I think they did a good job of not explicitly saying anything a lot of times from his childhood onward, but hinting at bad things have happened to him. And they showed that they did a good job of showing a messed up history from like birth till now, and building up to the whole one bad day, then you're the insane clown.
I definitely think one of the strongest things about this film was, while it is in DC universe of some kind, it's so far and out away from it. It's so its own thing. It's like there's still like the Wayne family and all that, but that's the only thing that we get that ties it at all to the DC universe of any kind. And I think that inspiration, like light inspiration from other comics, but still being its own thing and just being in its own universe, I think was one of the strongest elements that helped it be even better than what it was. Because I think if it was in any DC universe, you would have had references here and there about like every other kind of DC character and things like that, and it would have drawn me completely out of the film if it had done stuff like that.
Yeah, I took a note about that actually. Like, I said that this movie was like as much of a comic book movie as Brightburn was. I think it just takes inspiration from the character. And
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brightburn is. I think that's a great analogy actually, because it is a comic movie, but oh boy does it ignore it.
Yeah, because honestly, I think Brightburn might be like more accurate in some aspects.
I do think this ignores story-wise, but character-wise, I literally think this movie nails 100% of what makes Joker the Joker. Like more than any other film I've ever seen.
Could you see this Joker being like an actual Joker, like crime lord, fighting Batman?
Yes, I could see that. I could. Okay. I could. Well, if he learns how to fight a little bit, then sure. He doesn't learn. Not that he doesn't fight a lot. He gets fought a lot.
Fights back.
Yeah, he doesn't really fight back much in this movie. And I think if we get to see more of that, then sure, he could be a crime boss or a pimp or whatever the version where they go with would be. He could definitely do that. I think Joaquin, whatever the script would be, based on what he's done here, he can carry that same mentality and that same kind of character throughout a whole storyline.
Interesting.
That would never happen because of circumstances in this movie. Once you see it, you can understand. But there are ways that it really wouldn't work.
There's been a lot of controversy about this movie ever since it premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, from its depiction of violence to people saying it glorifies it. Then you have the conversations from the other side, people that say that it doesn't. What are your guys' thoughts overall on terms of like what the film represents about mental illness and violence and things like that?
I think this version of Gotham City is more realistic than any other version. I think this is close to something that would actually happen in real society than anything else.
No, you have some thoughts about this, Sean.
Yes, because I wouldn't be very worried about that actually. And I've been warned by people that it probably is a bad depiction of violence and mental illness. And I've had friends who have struggled with things like that in their lives. And I think that this film does you can always make the argument of just a movie, just go into it and watch tons of movies that there's like violence that doesn't matter. But I think the one difference in this movie that a lot of movies don't do as much is the city seems to praise the violence more than they should and like reward it. And that's great for this kind of movie. But at the same time, in today's day and age, I'm not gonna get political here, but I don't think it's the best climate to have that.
Interesting.
That being said, I don't care too much. Because I personally thought without what they did, we wouldn't get as good of a character. And same mental illness, I don't think they depict it that well. Like they think they treat it like an illness and less like a condition. And they don't treat it as well as something that you can live through and be helped into. It's more of you're a problematic person. That's how it felt more, which makes sense for the character they're going for. But it's a bad reflection of how the world should be. The
film definitely brings up a lot of really good questions and conversations about when it comes to how violence like this is depicted in a movie. Now, I say violence, but it's only in like mostly like the latter half, and it's not really as graphic or as horrible as they say, but it's more the reasonings and things behind it as to why I think a lot of people are getting angry at it. But from what I got from the film, I view it as like, while you are sympathetic at points for this character, it's when he makes that turning point, for when he makes those horrible decisions, that like the sympathy for him is gone, and you know that this is definitely not something that you should be like praising or things like that.
100% agree.
Yes. And definitely with the ending, it's going to be very controversial, and this is definitely not a film for everyone, without a doubt. Overall, your like final thoughts on the films, and then also give the rating of your film from 1 to 10.
9.5 out of 10. I'm still deciding. And final thoughts. I can see this at least being nominated for 4 or 5 different Oscars between Best Actor, Best Film, Cinematography, Production Design, Hair and Makeup, and I could also possibly see like score and maybe screenwriting.
The music was amazing.
Oh yes.
Right? The score was really
I
good.
forgot to mention that. The music is amazing.
Yes.
Like the entire thing feels like an independent film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's a Hollywood film
Oh, no.
at all. Made by Warner Brothers in DC. It doesn't feel like it's what?
Yeah.
And Todd Phillips.
The people who made Justice League and Hangover came together to make this.
That's insane.
What? Yeah, people who made Shazam.
Yes.
Made, like, final thoughts for this movie? Incredible. Best performance for Joker of understanding who the character is, like at its core. Not as much the aesthetics and stuff like that. Not as much like some of the actions, but like who he is down to his psyche and as a human being. Joaquin understood perfectly, which I have nothing else to say about any Joker so far before him. Maybe Cameron Monaghan, but I haven't watched enough Gotham to actually decide that.
Final score for the movie?
What he said, 9 or 9.5. My only reason it's going down is because I don't think it treats violence the best way, honestly, in today's society. But other than that, it's pretty much perfect. Because, wow.
Yeah, I thought the film was incredible. It blew my expectations out of the wire from day one once this film was announced, and going and seeing how everything happened from Joker's character to Joaquin's performance to every minute technical aspect of the film. It blew my mind through and through. The only reason I wouldn't give it like a 10 would just be because I feel like Joker himself as the character was not in the film as much as he could have been. That's pretty much my only reason for it. Yeah. Other than that, I would give the film either a 9 or 9.5. I hate giving decimals, but this would definitely be one of those that I would go for that. Yeah, definitely up there. It's one of the best films of the year, without a doubt. So thank you guys for being here and having a chat with me about Joker.
Of course.
Glad I get to be on.
Yes.
I love this character.
Give your social medias to the people.
I am Tosh Kakai. I'm on Instagram at King of Mid-Humans and also the Taj Jaja.
Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter at Nerd Talk Productions. I think. Yes. That's it.
As always, make sure to follow me and Mason Cable Network on all of our other social medias, and make sure to tune in each and every week for a new episode of From the Cinema, and we will see you all next time.
And remember, that's life.